Howdy folks, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am your host, the Mighty Bjorn, and today I'm going to be doing some more hand model stuff for you. Ooh. Anyway, so I've been using this Tisas Raider for a bit, got it out to the range a bit, and while I think the safety is okay, I would personally like something that feels a bit more positive and audible. This one at times just kind of, it's kind of mushy at times. So I'm going to go to a stronger spring. Now, for a really quick disclaimer for YouTube, I am not actually modifying the gun anyway to enhance its performance. Outside of enhancing its safety, this will not enhance performance. It will not make this gun an automatic. It won't make it shoot faster or anything like that. All I'm doing is replacing the spring that is already in the gun. It's pretty sad when you got to say stuff like that for YouTube. Okay, so I got this here. This is a Dan Wesson spring, and it's also got the Plunger rods. Okay, these are only like, I don't know, they're like $5 or $10, and you actually get the safety instructions online, or how to install them. So what we'll do here first is we're going to clear this 1911. As you can see, sled went out like a rocket, no ammo. And for the privacy of YouTube, let's get the safety off before we pull the slide back. And there is the chamber empty. Okay. Now, first thing I'm going to start with here is I actually don't have to disassemble the gun to get to what I want to get to. You can actually pull this side off without disassembling the 1911. However, I find it easier to disassemble it because sometimes with these ambi safeties, they'll get jammed up pretty hard. You'll have to like tap on it with a rubber mallet or a nylon hammer or something along those lines. So I find it easier to do that if the slide's not on. All right, so let's just take the slide off. Now there's two different ways to take the slide off. I have an instructional on how to do that, but I'm going to do it the standard way. I'm going to use my tool here, turn my bushing, capture that plunger and spring, put that off to the side. Now I got to slide the slide back, which it went a little past. Get this slide release out. And then I shall pull off the slide. That can fall because it's captured by the mat. And essentially I can put all this stuff off to the side because I no longer need it. All I need right now is this, the frame. Now essentially this is the ambi safety here. And essentially what you're going to want to do is you got to get to about the mid position of it being flipped on or flipped off. And you kind of got to wiggle it around and pull on it, and it can be a little challenging at times. And what you got to do is sometimes you just might have to give it a couple taps. If you got to do it, tap it like right here with your mallet, and that'll help get the back part of it separated a bit more, which actually that kind of looks like what the issue is here now, is that the back part is still holding tension on the safety itself. So you just got to wiggle it back and forth and pretty much pull it. You know, let's give it a little tap here real quick. Come on. Should just about break free here. There we go. Just had to give it a little pry. Now, one part to be careful of too when you're doing this is under spring tension. As you can see, it didn't really come out. It actually should have came out more than it did. It actually should have shot out like a rocket. But so there we go. We got the spring and plunger rods out. Okay. Now, when you're looking at this, you'll notice that there's a short end and a longer end when it comes to the plunger rods. Okay, the long end goes towards the safety, the shorter end goes towards the slide or the slide release. And there is only one way to go, because actually the shorter end here is actually milled down a little bit thinner. So essentially the safety side of this rod will not push through the slide lock side of the plunger. It's the plunger tube here, which is right here. Okay, so let's open up the good old Dan Wesson spring here. Okay, and there is the new plunger and spring. I'm just going to put the old one in the pack, and I'm actually going to keep it because it does work. I just don't find it to be very good. So essentially, I am going to keep it around as a spare in case something happens. But, you know, obviously, you could just throw yours out if you want to. All right. Now, I'm going to slide the narrow end in first. Like I said, when you're looking at this, looking at the spraying rods, there's a narrow end and there's a thicker end, which is also longer. I'm going to use the shorter, narrow end first in the plunger tube, and I'm going to start on the hammer side of the frame, and I'm going to push that in. See, now as you can see, there's spring tension there. That's much better spring tension, or it's going to be. And I'm just going to push that through until it pretty much stops, which it stopped. Okay. Now all I got to do is get my safety lever, get it re-lined up with the safety, the opposite side. Which this is going to probably be a little tricky because of the new safety rod. I might need to get a tool here to help me out keep that tensioned. Let's F around and find out. Yep, okay. Yep, I'm going to need something to press in on that. We'll use this here. Here we go. Just had to push that in a little bit with a screwdriver. But of course I needed it up to real close to my face so I could see what the hell I was doing. And then that just pushes back in. Oh yeah, that's a lot. Much better on the Tisas Raider here. Now essentially all you got to do is reassemble the gun. I'll show you how to do that quick. Let's get our guide rod in here. It's got to get in that spring. And of course you need the arc end, as you see here. It's kind of got Mickey Mouse ears. That arc end has to be up against the barrel. Line your slide up to your frame. Now this is where it gets a little tricky at times. Okay, come on. And you gotta get that hole lined up. Okay. I think I got the notch and the hole and all the loop and the whole 9 yards lined up, and it looks like, no, not quite. Of course, it's being real stubborn. These can be really stubborn on assembling. Just can't quite get it. There we go. Now we got it. That is a lot easier when you have a toothpick or a small Allen key or something to help get that in place. Of course, this doesn't. Oh, I can't believe you just did that. Unfortunately, the new spring keeps pushing down on my slide lock, so it's preventing me from getting it lined up. There we go, just right. See, 1911s can be a little bit stubborn, especially when they're new or newer. This doesn't have a whole lot of rounds into it. It hasn't even been fully broken in yet, but pretty much spending just a little bit of time out the range with this, I could quickly tell that I would prefer a better safety. And it's more or less because I have a Springfield Armory that's got pretty much the same spring in it. So I'm kind of stubborn about how positive it feels. And that is a lot more positive. All right, so there you go, folks. That's how you replace your safety spring. I know it's a little clumsy, but like I said, it's a new gun. And honestly, I don't see a lot of people doing videos like this online, but I've seen online on forums and that about people complaining about some of the slide, especially on like the Tisas Raider. I've seen it quite a bit for the Tisas Raider, and there was another Tisas gun where I've seen that the safety spring, they felt the safety spring was a little bit weak. So I thought I would take the time to actually show you how it's done on a Tisas. And it's just, yeah, that Dan Wesson spring is pretty tops, actually. I really like that. It feels good. Anyway, folks, hopefully you all enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for tuning in, and have yourself a wonderful day.